It's 2:17 in the morning. Your house is completely silent. The lights are off. The streets outside are empty. Even the wind seems to have gone still. And then suddenly, your dog starts barking. Not the casual bark they make when someone knocks at the door. Not the playful bark they use during a game. This bark is different. Sharp, urgent, persistent. They stand at the door
Play bark,
or stare
doorbell
into the
bark,
dark
and this
hallway.
one, an alert
Sometimes
bark.
even fixate on a
Notice the
blank
difference
wall
in
or an empty
urgency.
window. You get up half asleep, heart racing. You look outside. Nothing. No people. No animals. No movement. Just silence. Yet your dog keeps barking as if something is definitely there. Many dog owners have experienced this strange moment at least once. Some even describe it happening regularly. Always late at night. Always when the world seems completely still. And naturally, people begin to wonder, what are they seeing? Are dogs sensing something we can't? Or are they simply barking at nothing? Most dog owners have a simple explanation. They assume their dog heard a distant noise. Maybe a car door somewhere down the street. Maybe a cat passing by. Maybe the house settling as temperatures change. Others believe dogs might be reacting to shadows or random sounds that simply trigger their instincts. And of course, some explanations wander into the mysterious. People sometimes joke that dogs are seeing ghosts. But behavioral science tells a very different story. Because when a dog barks into the empty night, it's rarely about nothing. In fact, this behavior often reveals something fascinating about how dogs experience the world. To understand it, we need to step into the psychology of a dog's mind. And the truth is, dogs are not living in the same sensory universe that we are. A human's hearing range typically reaches up to about 20,000 hertz. A dog's hearing? It can reach nearly 65,000 hertz. That means a dog can hear sounds we cannot even perceive. High-frequency vibrations produced by electronics, distant wildlife, insects, or subtle mechanical noises traveling through walls and floors. At night, when the world becomes quieter, those sounds become even more noticeable. Your refrigerator motor, pipes shifting inside the walls, the distant rustle of an animal several houses away. To us, the house feels silent. To a dog, it's a completely different soundscape, a living map of subtle signals constantly moving through the environment. But sound alone doesn't explain the urgency of that midnight bark, because dogs are not only listeners, they are also watchers, and more importantly, they are protectors. For thousands of years, dogs have evolved alongside humans in a shared survival system. Long before modern cities and electric lighting, human camps relied on dogs as early warning systems. Their heightened senses made them the first to notice danger. A predator moving in the dark, a stranger approaching the edge of camp, or unfamiliar movement in the distance. In evolutionary terms, barking at night wasn't a mistake. It was a survival strategy. And that instinct is still deeply embedded inside modern dogs. Researchers at the University of Helsinki's Canine Mind Project have studied how dogs respond to environmental stimuli during nighttime hours. Their findings suggest that dogs are significantly more alert in the dark, even when they appear relaxed. Why? Because in the animal world, night is when vulnerability increases. Predators hunt. Movement becomes harder to detect visually, so animals rely more heavily on sound and smell. Dogs are biologically wired for this shift. Even inside a comfortable home, their brains still operate with this ancient awareness. But there's another layer to this behavior that goes beyond pure survival instinct, and it has everything to do with their emotional connection to us. Dogs are profoundly social animals. In fact, many animal psychologists consider dogs one of the most attachment-driven species outside of humans. Studies from Emory University's Canine Cognition Center have shown that when dogs interact with their owners, their brains release oxytocin, the same bonding hormone involved in human parent-child relationships. This hormone strengthens emotional attachment. It tells the dog, this human is part of my pack, and in a pack, members protect each other. So when your dog barks into the dark at night, it may not be reacting to a threat you can see, but it might be responding to something it believes could threaten the safety of the pack. You, your family, your shared space. In other words, From your dog's perspective, that midnight bark may be an act of protection, even if the danger turns out to be nothing more than a raccoon several houses away or a distant unfamiliar sound. But there is also a fascinating neurological process happening during these moments. At night, the nervous system behaves differently. Both humans and dogs experience shifts in brain chemistry after dark. The hormone melatonin increases, promoting sleep. At the same time, the brain becomes more sensitive to unexpected stimuli. This is why sudden noises feel more startling at night than during the day. In dogs, this heightened sensitivity can sometimes trigger what animal behaviorists call alert barking. It's not panic. It's not aggression. It's a communication signal, a message directed both at the environment and at their human companions. Essentially, the dog is saying, I notice something. Pay attention. I'm on guard. Researchers studying canine vocalization patterns have found that dogs use different bark tones for different situations. Alarm barks, often heard at night, tend to be lower, more rhythmic, and repeated at consistent intervals. This pattern functions almost like an alert siren, not just to scare off potential intruders, but also to notify the pack. And remember, you are the pack. But sometimes there's an even deeper psychological layer behind nighttime barking. Because dogs are incredibly sensitive to emotional changes in their environment. Their brains constantly scan human body language, breathing patterns, and subtle shifts in tone. Some studies suggest that dogs can even detect changes in human cortisol levels, the hormone associated with stress. In other words, dogs may notice emotional tension before we consciously recognize it ourselves. Late at night, when everything becomes quiet and still, dogs may pick up on subtle environmental changes, a shift in atmosphere, an unfamiliar smell carried through an open window, a distant sound echoing through empty streets. These signals may trigger a brief moment of alertness in their brain, and their instinctive response is to announce it, to warn, to protect, to communicate. But here's the deeper insight most people miss. Dogs are not just reacting to the outside world. Sometimes they are also checking in with you. If your dog barks at night and then immediately looks toward you, they are often seeking reassurance. They're asking, did you notice that too? Is everything okay? In these moments, your response matters. A calm voice, a reassuring presence, even a simple glance. These signals help regulate your dog's nervous system. Just as dogs comfort humans during moments of stress, humans can also calm dogs through quiet reassurance. This emotional feedback loop is part of the remarkable bond that has developed between humans and dogs over thousands of years. But there is one important detail every dog owner should pay attention to. If a dog suddenly starts barking at night much more frequently than usual, it may indicate something different. Behavioral changes in dogs can sometimes signal shifts in their physical or emotional well-being. For example, older dogs may experience cognitive changes similar to human dementia, a condition known as canine cognitive dysfunction. This can cause nighttime confusion or increased vocalization. Dogs experiencing anxiety may also bark more during quiet hours when environmental stimuli are reduced. And in some cases, dogs with heightened sensory awareness may become more reactive if they are feeling insecure or overstimulated during the day. So if nighttime barking suddenly increases, it's worth observing your dog closely. Are they pacing? Do they seem disoriented? Are there changes in appetite, sleep patterns, or energy levels? Dogs communicate primarily through behavior. What looks like random barking may sometimes be their way of saying something has changed. But in most cases, when a dog barks into the quiet night, staring into the darkness as if they've noticed something invisible, they're not reacting to nothing. They're responding to a world of subtle signals that humans simply cannot perceive. A distant movement, a faint sound, an unfamiliar scent drifting through the air. And sometimes they're simply doing what dogs have done for humans for over 15,000 years, standing watch, because in their mind, the pack is sleeping, and someone has to stay alert. Someone has to listen. Someone has to make sure everything is safe. That someone is them. So the next time your dog suddenly barks into the silent night, take a moment before assuming they're reacting to nothing. Look at them. Notice the way they stand, the way their ears turn, the way their eyes scan the darkness. In that moment, You might be witnessing one of the oldest partnerships in human history quietly at work. A loyal guardian listening to a world we can't hear, protecting a family they love more than anything. And that silent promise between humans and dogs to watch over each other is one of the most extraordinary relationships nature has ever created. If you've ever experienced your dog barking mysteriously at night, share your story in comments. Dog behavior is full of fascinating psychological clues, and every dog has its own unique way of communicating. And if you enjoy exploring the hidden psychology behind dog behavior, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because in the next video, we're uncovering another fascinating mystery. Why some dogs follow their owners everywhere, even into the bathroom. Until then, listen closely to your dog. Sometimes their behavior is saying far more than we realize.